What is going on, everybody? Welcome to hopefully the final episode, maybe not, of Last Year Tonight. It's been a while, it feels like, but I'm back hosting, and as always, I'm joined by my co-founders in Good Vibes Gaming, Ash Paulson in the upper left, Derrick Bittner in the upper right, me down here on bottom because that's just where I live. But before I throw it to the master of ceremonies, this episode of Last Year Tonight is brought to you by Microphone. Are you tired with the negativity in games coverage? Are you looking for a new game to play? Well, good news. Microphone is starting a new series finding all the good in media that's considered underrated, forgotten, or downright mediocre. The first 2 episodes have been released talking about Dead Island and everybody's favorite, Bobcat Bubsy. What could possibly go wrong? And once the channel hits 2,500 subscribers, there will be a very special episode on Fast and the Furious Crossroads. Go ahead and hit the link in the description to go to Microphone on YouTube, where you can check out a video called "Literally Everyone Hates Pizza." I don't agree, but check it out.
I think that might be objectively untrue.
I think that is wrong. Shame on you, Microphone. Anyway,
I love how Jesse in the chat already thought what I thought. Already an out of context clip to make after your intro, Steve. That's great.
Listen, that is just
they
wrong.
Just have like
exactly
a notepad down writing all this stuff. It is just set.
Yep.
All right. Well. Thank you to Microphone for sponsoring this episode too, and we will catch up with that next Wednesday, I think. But anyway, we're here to talk about all our favorite games from last year, the longest year in recorded human history. That's just a fact. I'm going to go ahead and throw it to our master of ceremonies, Derrick, no nickname Bittner. What have we got? Where are we starting off?
We're starting August with on the 4th, as we had Fall Guys Ultimate Knockout finally come to everybody, and it became a huge hit for about 2 weeks. And now it's just sort of like, it's around. It's sort of in that same sort of vector where it's like, I know Fall Guys. That's fun. I play it on occasion, and that's about it. Not necessarily the smash success that it started out as, I'd say. And I haven't really played it since that time we played it, when we would, like, when it was coming out and you got us all that code and we tried it out together. And I had to play with the mouse and keyboard because I couldn't I was in the middle of moving and I couldn't find my controller for the PC.
I would hate to play that game with a mouse and keyboard. I played a ton of Fall Guys. It has ended up being one of my surprise kind of hits of the year. I think one of the reasons it isn't as big as it could be now is because they took a little too long to react to releasing new content. Season 2 kind of felt a bit more like Season 1.5. There just wasn't that much new content there. But Season 3, I'm still playing it. Basically, my 2 of my best friends and I get together every Monday night and just play some Fall Guys, have some beers over Discord. And so I've been having a lot of fun with it. And Season 3 was that big update that it really needed a little earlier than it actually got it. But it's still a lot of fun. I'm still having a good time with it.
I could definitely see that. I really, I mentioned this before Spectrum decided to just end you talking about Fall Guys last time we tried this. But I was a big fan of Fall Guys. Through Season 1, I feel like it just suffers from a lack of minigame variety. Just keep adding stuff on. I do need to check out Season 3. But like you mentioned, you have a very loyal group of friends that get together to play this with you. And I think that is so key to enjoying this game. And when my best friend bounced off Fall Guys, that killed it for me. Because I think it is absolutely a game that is better enjoyed with a group of friends rather than just you being one of the many playing it. So if I could get a regular group, I probably would still be playing it to this day. But I think a lot of people, like my best friend, bounced off of it at Season 2 and just they haven't really become big enough to capture the collective imagination of people, looking for something to play. I think Among Us kind of slid in and just murdered that hype. So
yeah, it really did. I actually, Tim Rattray brings up a good point. It was basically the most popular during its PS Plus boost, which isn't surprising. So everybody was checking out for free. It's like, oh, okay. And then I think that was kind of catastrophic for them. Well, not catastrophic, but not as good for them.
I was like, it's still quite successful. I was like, catastrophic.
They couldn't maintain that momentum because Season 2 wasn't quite up to snuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, just a bad, right out of the gate, I think they were expecting more of a chance to slowly build up, and it was like, bam, everybody loves this. Like, oh crap, what do we do?
Yeah.
But they just lost out on that chance. And I'm, again, I haven't played it a ton, just that little bit, and it seemed fine, but I have no inclination to go back to it at this point. It is what it is.
I mean, it's essentially Mario Party minigames, the game, but with worse physics.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bit of jank with Fall Guys, and you kind of know that going in, but that's also a bit part of the appeal, I guess, is that there's definitely a skill-based element, no doubt. It's not all random, but there is a certain level of randomness that you just have to accept, kind of like with Mario Kart, where there's some jank's going to happen, and you just have to laugh and roll with the punches. But I hear you, Steve. If I didn't have those two dedicated friends who still played it every Monday, I wouldn't still be playing it either.
Yeah, I agree with that. Anyway, that's all I can say about Fall Guys, really.
All right, well, let's move on to our August 7th game, and I'm not sure if any of us actually played it, but that is when Fast and Furious Crossroads came out, and I'll be honest, I had no idea that's when it had already released. I'm like, I wonder what happened to that Fast and Furious game. Well, it turns out it already released, and I heard nothing about it. There was no buzz whatsoever around this game.
I want to play more. I barely checked it out. I played like a little of it. It was very unremarkable. Nothing. I can't really talk about it, to be honest, but I want to play it more only because it's a Fast and Furious game, and I'm just a shamelessly hardcore Fast and Furious fan. My wife and I both are.
Oh my gosh.
We both love to live our lives a quarter mile at a time. We're all about the Toretto family.
God.
No, hey, I'm telling you, when I say we're hardcore fans, I mean it. I mean it.
I mean,
so
I had, up until very recently, never seen a Fast and the Furious movie. But my wife, as though unearthing some kind of ancient tome, brought out this binder of DVDs. Because if you own a Fast and the Furious movie, apparently it has to be in a DVD binder. And then she takes out and she's like, we're watching this tonight. And I objectively, just looking at it critically, right? I was like, this thing has, the production values of, a high-rent porno. There is.
What? You mean
the original Fast and the Furious?
The original.
Okay, a first one.
Fair enough.
I was like, who is this villain?
Hey man, they're stealing the high end stuff. What was it? DVD players? That's the high end stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, I assume it kind of Saints Rows itself and gets crazier sequel to sequel, but that first one, watching it in 2021, I was like,
oh yeah,
what is this? Everyone
honestly,
here.
You gotta wait till the fifth movie for it to really get to the craziness that it's known for.
I would say that's when it starts. When the movies up to that are still fun, other than the second one, which is just garbage. But yeah, Fast 5, as Derrick said, is when the series really goes high octane. Because
Fast 4, they kind of get the crew back together and it's fine. Yeah. But Fast 5, I think, is when it's like, oh, okay, now we're going to pay attention.
Now we've got The Rock. Now we've got it goes from being about street races to international heists and saving the world and just ridiculous stuff. And they haven't gone to space yet, though. And I'm just hoping that by Fast and Furious 11, which is supposed to be the last one, as I understand it, they go to space. I want to see cars in space.
What are we up to now? How many sequels?
9 was supposed to come out last year, and it's coming out this year now because of the pandemic.
Right, and then we also had that spin-off of Hobbs and Shaw,
right,
which I didn't see.
That was a lot of fun. It was just goofy, cartoony action.
Michael McCall, I so hope that's the name. Fast 10, your seatbelts.
Oh wow.
Oh man, that should be Michael McCall. That's a fantastic
idea.
That's
so good.
That is some
so
Azran level punnery.
Yeah,
I like it.
That's really good. Yep, love it.
Mm.
I
have no inclination to pick up this movie, this game, I should say.
Sure. Also on that date, however, the PC port of Horizon Zero Dawn released, and that was my first experience with Horizon Zero Dawn. I found it really fascinating because everyone was like, oh my god, this port sucks, it's so terrible, bad-mouthing it. And I was like, this game's really great. I had no frame of reference for what was missing. So I was like, this is an awesome game. I'm loving the hell out of it. I still love it. I've not touched it on PS4 yet because I was like, this is perfectly fine. It runs at 60 FPS. It's ultra-wide on my computer. I really enjoy it. I see why people love Horizon Zero Dawn so much, and don't let people saying the PC port sucks dissuade you if you've never played the PlayStation version. I'm here to tell you it's fine. Like it definitely works, and you probably, unless you look it up, will have no idea what's wrong with it. And I think they fixed
Horizon's
it too
worth
since
playing,
then.
period.
Yeah.
Like, Horizon is such a phenomenal game that I would recommend to anybody who just likes good games.
I picked it up for $10 and have like the complete edition that has like the DLC along with it. I want to play it. I need to play it. Amy really wants me to play it because she watched a playthrough and fell in love with the game.
It's
and
so
it's like
good.
dying to talk about it with me.
Nice.
So I need to sit down and just play this. But it's, finding the time, which, I want to. I feel like I need to do it before the sequel comes out.
Yeah.
At the very least. So
Yeah.
it'll happen.
It's
But,
one of those games where, like, I spent the whole game, because it's essentially a sci-fi story, and I spent the whole game trying to, predict the twist, the big, okay, why is the world the way it is? Why are there robot dinosaurs? What happened? And I kept trying to predict that, and I still got it wrong. And it felt like organic. It wasn't like a stupid Deus Ex Machina, like, where the hell did that come from? It felt like a really cool organic twist that I just wasn't able to figure out. So you got to play it, man. It's a great game.
The unfortunate part is, even though I kind of had a wonder about it, the trailer for the sequel did kind of spoil the bit of the setting.
A little bit, yeah.
But yeah, and Juan, hey, live streams are a thing. Yeah, I
True.
mean, I just a matter of, I have a lot of games lined up for my live streams, but we'll see how that all goes. In the meantime, though, I'd say the next major release was on August 18th, where we got Microsoft Flight Simulator on Windows, which actually I think we already talked about this on Xbox One, didn't we?
Yes.
I think we did.
Because I feel like we already talked about
because
that.
it came to Windows after, yeah.
Right.
Or wait, no,
we
that's
have some
not
gaps
right.
in between here.
That's not right.
Huh?
Is it not?
It's still not on Xbox One.
I'm in Xbox Series X, not One.
No,
But
it's
it
still
came
not
to
on
Xbox.
The
Series
Series
X
X wasn't
either.
out by this point.
Oh, right. Of course it wasn't. For some reason, I thought it came to Xbox first. I don't know
No,
why.
you know what happened? We were talking about this when Spectrum killed Ash.
Oh, is that what it was? That's so funny. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
this is the game we
That's
were
funny.
on. So we've
Okay.
talked about it, kind of.
No wonder it felt so familiar.
Yeah, because it comes to
yeah.
Xbox this year, so 2021.
Okay. I remember when I first saw the initial trailer for this, I had no idea what it was because I don't play Microsoft Flight Simulator. And then when I found out that it was that, I'm like, this is the first time I've cared about a flight sim since Pilot Wings. Like, literally the first time. And I want to play this.
It's not for me. It is an absolutely gorgeous technical showcase of what next gen technology can do. But one, my computer just sounds like it's going to take off when I'm playing it. And two, I mean, I think there's like if I had to compare it to like racing games, right? There's Burnout, and then there's like Gran Turismo, and then there's just driving a car. And I would say that this Flight Simulator literally lands between the tier of Gran Turismo and driving a car. Like, it is super complicated, and I am way more of like a Pilot Wings guy. Tell me that ZR
Gotcha.
makes it go up and ZL makes it go
Same.
down, and I am good.
Same.
But this is like, you gotta check frequencies and flip knobs and levers, and I'm like, being a pilot's hard.
It's not my thing as much. Yeah.
It looks gorgeous. I'm sure it's fine for the people who like it. This is not my thing. I would bounce off
Right.
this so freaking quick.
I would watch someone else play it just for the visual, like the scenery.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely
Spectacle.
not picking it up. Like, there's a controller interface for it, and I was like, yep, I'm gonna need a manual. Like, I'm out.
Right.
I'm just reminded of what was that mech game that had the massive $200 controller?
Steel Battalion.
Steel Battalion. Just a Steel
Yeah,
Battalion
yeah.
like controller that it simulates an actual
Okay. I will say though,
plane.
the difference is that was super cool. Like, I bought my dad that, and I remember being utterly crushed because my dad played an old series called Mech Warrior. for the PC. And
that.
he was such a huge fan of MechWarrior that he once drove us all to Walnut Creek in California and like paid hundreds of dollars for us to play it in VR. And I'm using this because it was 90s VR, so it was terrible. Like, but you sat inside a cockpit with like all these switches and stuff. So I bought him Steel Battalion thinking like, this is the next best thing. And he bounced off that shit so fast. He was like, "This sucks."
I know it's not. MechWarrior is definitely more arcadey, so this went more sim. So
exactly, yeah. He loves the kind of arcade feel of MechWarrior games, which, to be fair, can be fun. But
absolutely.
Yeah.
There are two other games that came out on the 18th, though. The first of which, the one I really enjoyed and would love to get back to just finish off, is Spiritfarer. What a pleasant surprise of an indie game. Because
you've had so many things to say about this, so many great things to say about it.
I think the reason I was so taken by it is because it's totally the type of game that I would just bounce off of otherwise. It's it's essentially how do I put it? It's a sim game. Well, not a sim game, but a kind of sim game. Like in the same vein of Harvest Moon, where you're just taking care of people and building things up. But it has so many goals to do, and you're exploring and expanding and getting these new things, and you're getting just constant feedback and really getting to know these other characters. And then when you send your first person to the other side, it's like, oh my God, my heart. And then it's just really carried me through, and I want to get back to it, but my problem is the code I got for it was for PC. I'm not a fan of playing on my PC.
Same.
I prefer for most games to play on a console, and unfortunately it's like, well, I'll have to get on Switch and have to start over, which is not the best prospect for me, and because it would take a while, because I think I put like good 10 to 15 hours in it already.
Yeah, that'll take you a while.
Yeah. And it does run really well on Switch, which is unfortunate that you ended up with the Steam code.
It's as you said, Derek, it's not the kind of game I would normally think I'd ever enjoy, but you have said so many great things about it that it's certainly on my list to check out if I ever have time. I know that I'm going to like the feels part of it for sure. I know that it's good. I'm gonna love that part of it, but I don't usually like sim-esque gameplay. But
you have to almost put yourself into a calming. This is a zen out game.
Gotcha.
To me,
gotcha.
Like you're not going in there high action. It's just like, I'm just gonna chill with the game and not turn off my brain, but just sort of like, hey, I got to do this. I got to build this thing up. Oh, this person wants this item. Where do I find it and go get that? And it's just kind of keeps it moving, and I really want to get back to it and see how it just all wraps up, because it is freaking adorable.
It really is.
It is so freaking adorable.
It is one of the most gorgeously animated games to come out this generation. I mean, it is, in terms of animation, I can't think of many games that come close to Spiritfarer.
I love your little spirit ball that transforms into the different tools.
Yep.
That is so like from pot holders to a saw that your cat carries the other end of, and I don't know, it's just so good. I really enjoyed it.
Nice. Before we move on, I just want to say a quick hello to Joseph Rutkin, who says, "Hi guys, finally here live." Yeah, we don't see your name in the chat very often, so nice to see you. Welcome. Thanks for joining us.
The other game that came out on the 18th was Raji, an Ancient Epic, and that was the Indian developed game. Definitely pulling from that mythology. Then I played a little bit of. I picked it up just to do a Game and Watch for it, and I enjoyed what was there. But I feel like it's a little rough around the edges. It always felt a little stiff to me. Combat felt fine-ish. You almost get. I was definitely more taken in by the story and the mythology that was being built up than anything else.
Yeah, I feel like this game, and I played a little bit of it, but I kind of bounced off of it. I feel like Raji is a very similar story to Mulaka, which was another game built, in a country we don't normally get games from, and I love that. And I love that Nintendo does a great job of promoting these games. But I also feel like in terms of, like, they have interesting settings, really interesting stories, especially because it's stuff that's not familiar to an American audience for the most part. I know I'm certainly ignorant of the stories these games are telling, but they tend to fall a little bit flat in the gameplay department. That makes it's a shame because they're otherwise very compelling. And I would love to see these games get like a like development support from these bigger companies to help them smooth out those fine details. Because I think that these games, like, they could be much bigger than they turned out to be if, instead of just signal boosting them, Nintendo or whoever provided some additional support on the development end, which I think would be just that extra step to really take stories like these and bring them to much, much wider audiences.
Agreed. Yeah, I didn't get to play Raji. It was definitely something I wanted to check out based on the Nindy showcase where it was revealed. But I did play Mulaka, and you described it to a T, Steve. It's a story worth being told, obviously, and I love having games that come from countries that often don't release games. But it was certainly a little rough around the edges, gameplay wise, and I could tell that seemed to be the case with Raji as well, just kind of based on footage and what Derrick had said about it. But I'd still like to check it out. I still have interest in it.
Agreed.
Yeah, I want to get back to it at some point and sort of finish it off just to see what kind of is done, because the story is kind of basic but also so steeped in mythology. Again, I was intrigued because there's a lot of deities you don't really hear about from the Indian. You got the major ones, of course, but then you get the more obscure ones. I'm like, oh, okay, this is interesting.
Yeah.
But, yeah. Well, the next game that came out, August was more packed than I remembered. I remember it's crazy. August 20th, only 2 days later, Battletoads came out, finally. And I know John played it. Did any of us play it? Because I certainly have not. Okay.
I did not.
So I have a pretty good friendship with the folks over at Microsoft, and John was definitely covering it, but I had talked to some of my friends over there, and I was like, hey, look, it is A, my birthday, and B, for said birthday, I'm taking a trip to go see a friend. I would love to play Battletoads with him because it's my best friend. We used to get, completely hammered together and play through couch co-op games. That was like our thing, and he moved away. And so I had a rare opportunity to play couch co-op with him, and Battletoads, if you know, is only couch co-op. There's no online play, which is terrible.
Which is weird for a non-Nintendo release.
Yeah, it was really bizarre. And actually, so we got the game. We played through it over the course of like a weekend, and it was such a letdown. I'm so disappointed by it. Like, the turbo tunnel was way too easy. The gameplay was just repetitive and kind of boring. Like, it felt really soulless. Like, it had a few laugh out loud moments in cutscenes, but by and large, it was just this incredibly forgettable, kind of bland game.
That's a shame, because I saw a few of the cutscenes that seemed pretty funny.
Yeah, like I said, the cutscenes can be funny from time to time, but in fact, I actually remember the one that makes me laugh, and I wish I could remember it fully, but like the Battletoads are describing themselves to a reporter, and they describe themselves as like superheroes, and the reporter's just like, newsflash, no, you're not. And I don't know why, but I just started busting up laughing at that line and the specific delivery of it. But that's like the high point of the whole game. So
that's too bad, because Microsoft was able to get it right with Killer Instinct for all intents and purposes, for most intents and purposes, and apparently not Battletoads. And I mean, even Kai was at his most upset during the talk about Battletoads, so I don't think he liked it either. And always trust a baby, right? So I just didn't have too much interest in this, I guess. I've never been the biggest Battletoads fan. Sorry to all the Battletoads out there. They just kind of always read to me like low-rent Ninja Turtles. Sorry.
I mean, that's kind of what they are.
Yeah. So I never really had that much personal interest in it. But anytime there's a really good beat 'em up released is a good thing for all fans of beat 'em ups, which I am. So I was hoping it would be better than it seems to have turned out.
It's a bit of a shame because I have Battletoads on Genesis. I've experienced the infamous, jet level, the bike levels,
tunnel.
Yeah, turbo tunnel, and it was one of the. It's like I always got frustrated. So I was curious, but I also wasn't totally sold on it. It's just one of those things. Like, okay, I'll check it out if it's good. It's not. It's only okay. Okay, I'll skip it. No big deal.
Yeah.
So, yep. All right. Well, next thing we got, my God, August 21st, we got the release of Samurai Jack Battle Through Time, which I only played a little bit of. I played a decent amount going through the game, just because I was a big fan of Samurai Jack back in the day. And it's a perfectly serviceable action game, 3D action game that basically is like, here's the highlights of the show. Here's these places the enemies and go through that. So, that's up. I don't think either of you two have ever experienced Samurai Jack, so we'll just kind of move on.
I saw a little footage of it. I will say that visually it looked pretty cool, because I when I was putting together a promo trailer for a recent episode of Game That Tune, the show I do with my dad, we had Phil Lamar on for 1 month,
right,
who of course is the voice of Samurai Jack. And so I always put together a little promo trailer for the special guest we have on each month. And so I, of course, pulled some footage from Battle Through Time. It looked pretty cool, I have to say, especially for a licensed game.
There's some decent parts in there. It's not fantastic, but it does some elements very well. And
cool.
Did your dad go in and re-record new lines? Because his character was in there, his little dog.
I don't remember. I feel like I remember I heard that they just lifted his lines from the show.
That makes sense, because he's not in there a lot.
Yeah, I don't think he recorded new lines for it, but don't quote me on that either.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on. And I think the next major release was August 27th, where we got Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Remastered.
Oh, man.
I have never been more disappointed for a game I was convinced I wanted than when I played Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles. Like, what a horrible, horrible port of an excellent game. I mean, like, Crystal Chronicles was one of my favorite games on the GameCube. Like, I loved, like, the GBA connectivity in that game was awesome, if I remember correctly. And I remember just kind of, I was big into, like, the whole, multiplayer couch co-op kind of experience with those games. And I was really looking forward to this having good or at least halfway decent online, and it just failed, like, in every which regard. I didn't make it through the review period. I stopped playing this game before it came out. I was just like, no,
that's such a shame.
Yeah, I remember John. Was it you, Derrick?
I played with Don.
Yeah, we were all trying to, like, get a match started, and I think you and Don were the only ones that were able to actually play together. Like, the whole thing was, and then it ended up busted, I want to say, in one country, and it might still be busted. Like,
jeez.
Maybe. I mean, the weird thing here, the death knell of it is that you could only stay in a party for one level at a time. You had to constantly disconnect and reconnect and get back, and only the host would actually carry over the progress, and it just was a pain. And the whole point of it was to make it so much nicer to play, because you didn't have to worry about all the chords and whatnot. But I'm sorry, the best way to still play this game is to hunt down 3-4 Game Boy Advances, get a party of friends together on your GameCube, and play it that way. Because it just does not work. It's mainly, if you're going to make any progress, you're going to have to play this game single player, which sucks. It sucks.
And I also heard that you had to, like, whenever you did play an online game, if you wanted to keep playing, you had to, like, log on, like, sign out, and then
that's what I was just saying. You had to disconnect from each other each time.
Yeah, it would disband your online party after every single mission, which is, like, how does that make it through more than one person? Like,
yeah.
You would think any tester, and to be fair, I want to be clear, I'm not blaming testers because testers often raise issues like this and they get ignored. But I have to wonder how, like, developers or whoever was the decision maker didn't go, wow, this is incredibly unfun to play and frustrating. Like, why would we not, why not just keep the party open? Like, there had to be, and I wish I could be a fly on the wall at Square to find out, like, when they were discussing this, how they came down to this is the right way to proceed. And I have to imagine it just comes down to not caring. Like,
that's kind of what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Like, we're just getting this out, and we got other more important things we want to do, but we promised this would release, so here it is.
And the sad thing is, this got this delayed.
Yeah. Imagine the version they didn't release.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's really. I think they had a certain budget for it. I don't. Unfortunately, I think my guess is that the truth is that it just wasn't a huge priority, and they decided that they could get away with not making those specific improvements. I guess because I'm almost sure that testers raised the issue in QA. I'd be shocked if they didn't.
So, just like, this doesn't work.
Yeah. But it's a shame. This is a game, like you said, Steve, that I thought I really wanted. I really liked playing Crystal Chronicles back in the GameCube, even with all the Game Boy Advances and cables, and I thought this would be so cool, and they just completely underdelivered. Before we move on to the next game, I wanted to go back to a game that released on, was it August 25th, and Dusk Mirage mentioned it as well. They say, on a lighter note, want to quickly shout out the release of No Straight Roads on August 25th. Damn good game, if a little clunky at points. So yeah, just really quick, this is a rhythm game that our good friend Aaron Cooper was involved in. He was involved in the publishing in. And he had talked to me about the game. I haven't had a chance to play it. I just want to. But I'm just going to read a sentence about the story of this game. The game takes place in the fictional high-tech metropolis of Vinyl City, which is stated to be the music capital of the world. The city is governed by No Straight Roads, NSR, a corrupt electronic music label whose goal is to monopolize the music industry and continue their control of the city and maintain order. So essentially, the characters you play as, they're like rockers. And so it sets up this like rock versus evil electronic music empire story that sounds so interesting to me just from the outside looking in. And I really want to find some time to get around to playing this game because it seems pretty interesting.
It kind of sounds like a little bit like Aerosmith's Revolution X shooter.
It does, right?
Yeah.
It so does. Yeah. So shout out to my good buddy Aaron. I definitely still want to check this game out.
All right. I want to shout out one game that actually came out on the 28th. The 28th was a good and a bad day because Jump Force Deluxe came out for the Switch, which, why? I just want to point that out. I've played it on the Switch. It's as bad as you expect it to be. And this is a game I haven't really gotten to talk a lot about just because stuff. But Captain Tsubasa Rise of New Champions came out for Windows, Switch, and PS4. And that is a damn great game. Like, wow, I'm not a fan of Captain Tsubasa, and I'm not a fan of soccer, but it is still a really fun game. Like,
it looked pretty ridiculous.
It is, yeah, great, like, arcade-style soccer game with over-the-top, like, special techniques. Like, I mean, imagine if you've never seen the movie Shaolin Soccer 1, shame on you, you should see it. But imagine soccer like mixed with Dragon Ball Z, and you'll get the idea. Like, you'll kick a ball and it'll like burst into flames, and the goalie will catch it and start screaming like ah.
The Mario strikers we deserve.
Yeah, it'll like fly out of his hands, and it'll do like just over the top sound effects and stuff. I love this game, and it is I love it just because of the sheer absurdity of it and what it does to an otherwise very boring sport, in my humble opinion. But yeah. If you haven't checked it out, go check it out. Go watch someone play it. It's pretty funny, and it's actually mechanically very fun to play.
So, Steve, I used to think the same thing as you about soccer, and I'll just say you haven't lived until you've gone to a soccer game in Brazil. I went on a press trip to Sao Paulo once, and it was a Pro Evolution Soccer press trip.
Oh wow!
And Konami took us to an actual like live soccer game in Sao Paulo. And the energy, I'm not even a big sports guy, the energy in the air was absolutely electrifying. People were just, the passion was incredible. And it just made it so exciting, even though I'm not a soccer fan. So I hear you, but if you ever get the chance, go to Brazil. Go to a soccer game, because man, it was cool.
I mean, I can just feel that energy anytime I watched. I had a friend that's really into soccer. He's originally from Bolivia, so it makes sense. And he'd watch the Spanish network covering the soccer games, and just the energy of the announcers, like it's like looking at the screen. It's like barely anything's going on. It feels like, and then but it's just constant words coming out. It's like, well, it's just the most amazing thing in the world. It's like, that's how you watch soccer, is having these Spanish announcers.
My best friend, the one I mentioned earlier in the Battletoads story, he is a huge Liverpool Football Club fan, and we used to live together, and I would wake up to him just being like, let's fucking go, like screaming top of his lungs. I'd be like, oh, he must be watching the game. I guess I'm gonna get up now. So yeah, I definitely get that, what you're saying about the excitement, because I would even I'd be like, well, whatever he's excited about, I better go take a look. And I would end up watching an entire Liverpool game with him, even though I'm like, I don't know who these people are. I'm just happy for my friend who's really excited.
Yeah. By the way, I want to give a quick warm welcome to Moon Macarons and Arch Janes in the chat. Those are two more names I don't recognize, so we're very happy to have you here, and thank you for joining us.
They are executive producers.
Ooh, very cool.
Hell yeah, they are. Which means we'll be reading your names out at the end. But thank you for being here live.
We still have 2 more games I want to cover in August, because for some reason August was stacked. My God,
it was.
First
it really was.
First was Moon Remix RPG Adventure, a PS1 game that never came stateside, and finally got the chance. I have not played it myself, but I've heard really amazing things.
Yeah,
me too. It's like the un-RPG. And
like the
really goes against the grain. Yeah. It's almost more of an adventure game, from what I understand it. But I do want to sit down and play it at some point, because it seems so fascinating.
Yeah, wasn't that didn't our previous guest Rebecca Valentine talk a lot about that? Or am I
believe so? Yes.
Yes,
I believe so. Yes.
Yeah. If you don't trust us, trust
she did.
Rebecca.
She talked about it for a while.
Yeah,
I was going to say, I just wasn't sure if it was the same Moon, but she also just picked up a gig at IGN. So congrats, Rebecca.
Congrats. That's awesome.
Congrats to her. Yeah.
But
I really want to play this.
Her talking about it convinced me as well. So.
Yeah, apparently it turns a lot of JRPG tropes on your ear, and it's very Earthbound-esque, which, hey, sign me up on both counts.
And it is the perfect GVG game, because if you remember, not only did Rebecca Valentine promote it here on the channel, but it was also translated by our previous guest, Tim Rogers. So the ties to TNT are strong with that game.
Yes.
Perfect. Unfortunately, I don't think any of us have actually played it yet, so we can't go into too much detail.
Right.
The other game I was going to mention, just because I know you'd want to talk about it, Ash, even though I don't think you've played it yet, is Tell Me Why, which is the one with the from the people who did what was it?
Life is Strange. Don't know.
Life is Strange, and had a trans protagonist. So
yeah, exactly. So this is
the first chapter came out on that day.
So Tell Me Why features the first transgender playable character from any major studio, with Don't Nod and Square Enix Publishing. And as I understand it, the game has done really well for itself in terms of its perception. Apparently, the portrayal of this trans protagonist is thoughtful and respectful. I can't say for sure because I haven't played it, and that's not necessarily up to me. But I've heard good things, and I can only spread what I've heard. So this is something I really want to play. I loved Life is Strange, and my wife did too. We played it together, and we just loved the whole game. So this is something I want to get around to playing. In fact, my wife and I are playing Detroit Become Human right now together. But after that, we might actually jump into this and check it out. I definitely want to.
Nice.
Cool.
I'm surprised, Derrick. You didn't want to talk about The Last Campfire?
I saw it, but I never played it. So I saw it there. I was like, well, I haven't played it. And I don't think you two played it.
Oh, for some reason I thought you'd played it. I don't know why. Okay, for some reason I thought you'd played it. I don't know why. Then ignore me.
It looked interesting, but I definitely didn't get a chance to play it. So I was just going to skip it for now.
It did look really interesting. Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
We finally reached September. My God.
Jeez, right?
And the first big release that I'm seeing on here is September 4th. Marvel's Avengers.
Oh, man.
Oh, dear.
To talk about Avengers,
where to even
we have to go back to
E3
2018. Was it 2018?
Yes. 2018,
and
I believe.
When they revealed the design of all the characters, and everyone was like, that's a red flag. These guys don't look great. And I remember thinking, like, wow, they really, really have their work cut out for them. And they said, like, oh, we're going to go back and make changes and address feedback. And then I saw the characters never change. And I was like, oh, it's that kind of addressing feedback. And sure enough, the game came out, and it was like trying to be two very different things at the same time. And it didn't execute on either of them properly. What they should have done, free advice, is just make a Kamala Khan game and leave it at that. Because her sections in Avengers were excellent. Mm-hmm. But then they're like, hey, we should like glue on parts of Destiny and let them play as Iron Man and the Hulk, but not make them different enough. Like, none of it felt good. Except for the Kamala Khan bits. Like, it's almost like I would not be surprised if it came out years from now that they wanted to do a Miss Marvel game, and some idiot was like, oh, no one's going to buy that. You need to throw Iron Man and Hulk and Thor in there. Like, that's the only way you'll sell a Miss Marvel game. Because when I think about it, the combat, the mechanics, everything feels like it works perfectly when you're playing as Kamala Khan. And everyone else feels ever so slightly off. Like the physics of the combat, the impact of their attacks, the weight of their movement, everything feels just kind of wrong. Except for her. So, I don't know.
Yeah, I have to agree. Because you and I both played this a bit, Steve. I think you played it more than I did. There are parts of this game that I legitimately like. And some of the character writing is really strong. And that's what makes what this game does wrong that much more frustrating. Because you can see the skeleton of a good game in there. It is there. It's not all just awful, but it's just piled on with so much stuff that is so unnecessary. All the Destiny stuff and the fact that you have characters like the Hulk and Iron Man, as you said, that aren't very fun to play as. How do you not make Iron Man fun to play as? It's Iron Man. It's the Hulk. Like, how are they not fun to play as? But then you have Kamala Khan, who's a lot of fun. She's a really fun protagonist. She's relatable. She's enjoyable to see her story play out, and it's fun to watch her interact with the other Avengers. Like I said, a lot of the character writing, especially between her and Bruce Banner, really fun stuff. So that's what makes what this game does wrong that much more frustrating, because you can see that they almost made it, or that they could have done so much more with it.
Yep.
So frustrating.
Yeah, I've not played it, but nothing about it ever really pulled me in. And I'm a big Marvel guy, so it just didn't do anything for me. I just like, nope, I'm good. And then I heard Destiny, I'm like, nope, I'm definitely not. I'm definitely good. That's bounced off that. Either way,
Oscar Navarro. Sorry, this is great. Oscar Navarro says Thanos took two good games, snapped half of each away, and put the remains together to make Marvel's Avengers. Nice.
Sounds
what ridiculous.
Yeah.
But September 4th did have one other game released on that day that was quite good from everything I hear. Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. I did not pick this up, even though I played Tony Hawk 2 and 3 back in the day. But I think this is my move, so I was not playing much in September. I'll tell you that right now. And it was I've heard good things, but I've not touched it.
Same. I've heard really good things about it being a faithful remaster, and it's apparently really great for Tony Hawk fans, but I never was one, so I can't really comment on this too much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, our good
a lot of people
friend,
were very happy that most of the soundtrack was back. So
yeah,
cool.
our good friend Neil from Nintendo World Report reviewed it over at Game Explain, and I was in communication with, because I'm the one that got him his copy, and he and I talked about it, and he was telling me, like, I'm not a big first off, I should say I'm not a Tony Hawk Pro Skater fan. I remember back in the day, like, people heaping praise on it, and I'm like, it's a skateboard game, you guys. Cool. Like I just wasn't feeling it.
It had that arcadey fun to it, I think is the best way to
I imagine it. Just I remember being salty because just like people praised it for its visuals, and I'll be honest, I don't remember it looking that great even back in the day. Like, I remember them talking about, like, several iterations later, how people finally had articulable fingers in the game. And I was like, other games have been doing this forever, bro. Like, why are you impressed because it's Tony Hawk? Like, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. But either way, so I always had a weird axe to grind against the series. But I have heard nothing but good things, like, to the point that I almost wanted to pick this up. Just to give it a fair shake, you know, being a more mature person now and not being angry that it got perfect 10s when Mario 64 didn't. Which, by the way, that'll create a blood feud in my house. But it seems like a perfectly fine game. And as far as remasters go, I do find it hilarious that this got the remaster treatment that I wish Mario 64 would get all these decades later.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, you only do that for the 10 out of 10 games, Steve.
Yeah, clearly. They must have looked at that EGM score and been like, this deserves just the most basic port ever. No 9.8 deserves more than basic effort.
Oh, goodness. But yeah, I don't know I'll ever go back to it, but it's cool that, you know, it's there for the really diehard fans. They all seem to especially enjoy it. But yeah, I didn't pick it up. Real quick, just a little footnote, because I didn't even realize that it came out then. I came out in September. That's how away from the games I was at the time. Kingdoms of Amalur Re-Reckoning on September 8th. I only noted this game because one of its infamy is how it was developed by the state of Delaware and almost made the state bankrupt because of the whole development thing. It was a very nuts. Again, check out a previous guest, Matt McMuscles. I think there was what happened on it, and it is fascinating. But the funny thing is, it's actually a pretty decent game from my friend playing it. A little bit of it. It's actually, you know, pretty decent. So it is coming to Switch soon. So there is that. So that's cool. I just completely missed that it was coming out.
But I actually have another game that came out on the 8th to mention. This was published by our friends at Wired Productions, and that is the Switch version of AVICII Invector. And I just wanted to call that out really quickly because it's a fun, really solid rhythm game for the Switch that is essentially the ultimate edition of AVICII Invector, which came out on PS4 and Xbox, I think, last year. And AVICII, of course, is the recently departed Swedish DJ Tim Bergling, who just an incredible electronic music artist. And so this game was made as a tribute to him. And as I understand it, again, Aaron Cooper, my good buddy, was involved in this. And as I understand it, before his passing, he wanted to make a rhythm game, and that this was made kind of in conjunction with his involvement before he passed. Yeah, so just wanted to shout that out. Avicii's music is great. We unfortunately lost him due to mental illness, and that's always just the most tragic thing. And so I just wanted to shout that out. It's a really cool game. If you like electronic music and you like rhythm games, check AVICII Invector out. I think it's only like $20 as well, so I definitely recommend it.
Nice.
It's got like 50 songs or 40 songs or something. It's quite beefy.
All right, there's a game I have to call out that I know we're going to skip. So I have to mention this. On September 15th, my favorite game of 2020 that I haven't played yet, Fight Crab, came out for the Nintendo Switch.
What?
I've seen screens of that, but it's so ridiculous.
This game is
I want to have heard of it.
It is literally, like, if you Google search it, one of the first screenshots that come up is just, you are a crab. And it's like, you're sitting there, and it gets more ridiculous. Like, you can get drill hands, you can fight with lightsabers, swords, you can hold a knife.
Great.
Like, this, I will buy this just to play it on a multiplayer stream here on GVG because it looks that dumb.
God.
That kind of crazy fun, ridiculous, like, the kind of game that's great because you don't take it seriously at all. Like, whether you win or lose, it doesn't matter because the entire premise of this thing is off-the-wall stupid. And I love that about this. Like, since the minute I saw the first trailer, I was like, I have to own this.
Oh, wow.
Like,
Joseph Rudkin said, I've seen this game. There's a 2v2 mode.
Yep.
In there.
I'm telling you, man, this is coming to GVG soon if I have any say in the matter.
Oh my God.
I love the idea of this whole game. I'm looking at some screenshots. I'm all about it.
Yep. I'm in.
Steve, I think you and I enjoy the same kind of dumb things. I think we enjoy the same kind of dumb humor.
That makes sense to me.
Yep.
That makes sense.
I mean, you could get Thor's hammer. Like, I mean,
how could you not love that? Exactly.
Yeah.
It's probably a better Thor game than the Avengers. I'm just saying.
Sadly,
and Thor is a crab.
Yeah.
Crab Thor. All right, that's all I got. Fight Crab looks great.
All right.
I'm hyped.
Let's move on to September 17th, my birthday, which, man, they were very generous this year because, first game that came out was Hades, which I've talked a bit about, and I am now 5 victories in on my streams. I just need 5 more to go, and the story is still very intriguing to me. I just need to beat it with one more weapon. The railgun is what I need to beat it with yet. And then I can start.
There's a railgun? That's cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
And there's like these different packs that change something that I'm not sure of, but it still just keeps me invested and still going. I don't know. There's something about it just really clicks. And I can totally see why it got so many Game of the Year nominations.
Yeah, I checked this out through your account, Derrick, and I enjoy it. It's cool. I mean, for me, it's less about... I'm not a big roguelike guy, and even the gameplay, as welcoming as it is to people who aren't into that genre like me, I still kind of started getting tired of the loop, maybe like 5 or 6 attempts in. Mm-hmm. That said, though, I want to push through, or at least just play through on God mode anyway, because, my God, the characters and the dialogue and the voice acting and the writing in that game are just all top-notch. And I'm so into the characters, into the lore, and I just want to see what happens.
Mm-hmm.
It's really good.
Chris 2K says they got addicted when they first escaped for the first time.
Okay.
But depending on the player, I think that took me about 10 tries to do that. But yeah,
only 10. Wow.
Depending on the player, it's different, changes up. But yeah, I've had some pretty decent luck with a lot of my builds.
I was going to say, so it only took you 10 because it took me like 5 tries just to beat the first boss. I think maybe 4. But 10 to get through the whole thing.
Having trouble with Megara,
huh? Well, I did, and now I can beat her pretty consistently. But I mean, I don't even know how many bosses there are. But
how far have you made it
through? I haven't made it to the second boss yet. But I also haven't played it in quite a while.
Okay,
I haven't played it in probably a couple of weeks.
There are 5 bosses.
Okay, gotcha.
So, yeah. Either way, I know Steve kind of didn't get into the hype of this one.
Yeah, it didn't. It fell flat for me, and that's okay. Mm-hmm. Like, I can see the appeal of it, but it's just not my kind of game. Like, I think it has a very satisfying combat loop, but I don't find the narrative to be particularly engaging for me. I don't know. Like, it's still something I'll pick up, but I have to be in... Frankly, I have to be in the mood for, like, a more mindless kind of fun, like a quarter muncher kind of feel, and that is something that the older I get, the less engaging that idea becomes. I get more into like bigger, like I guess there's 2 competing like desires for me. Like I want something that is like kind of you could call it my Marios and my Zeldas basically. Like I either want something that is just a really good meaty game from a mechanical perspective that satisfies that just incredibly addictive gameplay loop kind of feeling, which I think Mario excels at, or I want something that is more... I hate to use story-driven in terms of Zelda, because we all know that Zelda and story-driven don't make a ton of sense together, but I think that there's kind of that... Zelda scratches that itch for something that is a bit more narrative-based and has a deeper, like, explorative feeling to it, I guess, would be the way to describe it.
I kind of get what you're saying.
Yeah.
It makes sense. I mean, just not every game is going to be for every person, and that's just the way it is.
Exactly.
I do love, though, that Zagreus is essentially the Castlevania anime version of Alucard. He sounds almost exactly the same. His mannerisms are pretty much the same. Like, I do like that it's essentially that version of Alucard. He's a very charming character. Also, Brian Calabro says, Ash, if you get tired of playing, you can always check out some great Twitch streams of it at this channel I know of called BitNerd Gaming. I'll have to check that out.
Yeah,
well,
never
it's
heard of that
BitNerd
one.
Games, but yes, thank you.
BitNerd Games.
Oh, goodness. There's some fun ones in there. But another game that came out on the 17th that I have not had a chance to play yet, and I want to, is Ori and the Will of the Wisps. I loved the first game, and I hear this one's even better. It being out on Switch again, I'm down. I want it, but I just haven't had time.
Man.
Yeah, this came, I think the original, or the Xbox version came out like in, March? So it didn't take them long to get this to the Switch.
I think we talked about that as well back in the day. Yeah, so I don't want to spend too much time, but
yeah.
So that came out as well.
Yeah, it's a good game. If you don't have an Xbox, because it's free on Game Pass, then try it on Switch. It runs really well on Switch.
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on to September 18th. That's when we got Super Mario 3D All-Stars. And I'm not sure I see it listed here. I don't know if it's even listed on this, but Super Mario 35, I'm going to just roll into this as well.
Oh, that's in October, Derrick.
Oh, is it October? Okay. Oh, there it is, right off October 1st. Okay. So then, yeah, first up is Super Mario 3D All-Stars, which I played a little bit of, and, they're good ports. It's nice to have a port of Sunshine after so long. Weird that we didn't get Galaxy 2.
This is both
I was going to say, I'm offended by this collection.
Oh.
So, I want to put first off, these are two of my favorite games of all time, and Mario Sunshine. But this isn't how you do Mario for his 35th, man. Like, this isn't it. This is not it, Nintendo. I feel like Mario is to gaming what Mickey Mouse is to American animation. Like, he is it. And to think that Nintendo saw such a milestone coming up for their most beloved character of all time, and we're like, yeah, just throw the N64 ROM on there and call it a day. Like, I'm okay with Sunshine. I'm okay with Galaxy because they hold up far better than 64 visually. 64
and they look nice in widescreen.
Yeah, 64 was the game that you put a new coat of paint on. If they had even just separated that from the collection and said, we're going to give you Mario 64 HD, I would have been so thrilled to get that. Like, that would be a full $60 purchase from me 7 days a week. Like, I don't care. But I just feel like this is too little effort for a character of Mario's magnitude, for a character that means as much to gaming in general as Mario.
It's a little better than what he got for this 25th, where we got, I think it was his 25th, where we got a just straight port of Super Mario All-Stars on the Wii.
Right.
Yeah.
At least we got that for free on the Switch Online this time around.
Yeah, I mean, it just, to me, it feels like, and I get that Nintendo in particular has been hit hard by the pandemic, and that they definitely needed to learn to work from home, whereas I think other platform holders and other developers already knew how to do this. And that may have changed plans or messed with things, because we all heard the rumors, right? Like, oh, Mario's coming in HD to the Switch in 2020, like everybody heard that. And maybe that was at some point the plan, and they just said, wow, we won't make it in time for the anniversary. But that being said, I would have taken a delay. I would have gladly accepted, I just want Nintendo is horrible about reinvigorating old games. Like, when they re-release them, they're like, yep, you get exactly what you paid for in 1998. Like, this is we're not fixing anything. And I wish that they would be more open to the idea of, like, because I hate to say it, but I look at that fan-released PC port and I'm like, this is what I wanted. I want a Mario 64, but to feel modern, because it's still an awesome game. It just needs very minor things changed, and it could absolutely benefit from just make it widescreen, make it high def, like give us new models, give us new lighting, put it in the Mario Odyssey engine. I don't care. It would look incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, like, to be clear, I don't want to say like 3D All-Stars. It's not a bad collection. It's just way too conservative. Nintendo went way too conservative with it, and hey, I obviously I have it. I played 64, devoured it for like the 100th time, and I had a great time because it's Super Mario 64. But yeah, they should have done more with it. At the very least, if they weren't going to give the graphics a new coat of paint, maybe that's a creative decision, whatever, fine. At least make it widescreen, like that fan PC build. Like, they just went so conservative on it. And like you said, Steve, this is Nintendo's most beloved character, the video game equivalent to Mickey Mouse. He deserved better. And they've already given better to some other characters, like Kirby. Kirby's Dream Collection was a really good collection on Wii. It was actually really well done. And not that I'm not saying Kirby isn't deserving. Look, he's my favorite Nintendo character of all time. but Mario certainly deserves at least that kind of treatment.
Yep.
If not more. But I will say I am struck still by just how well visually Sunshine has aged, especially with the HD widescreen treatment. It's a really good looking game. I was surprised by how much I don't enjoy Sunshine anymore. I was one of its defenders back in the day. I didn't love it, but I was like, no, this is cool. I like Super Mario Sunshine. But I got about 15 shines in 3D All-Stars, and I had no desire to keep playing and wanted to skip straight to Galaxy. It's very weird how badly that game has held up for me, gameplay-wise. It's just not fun.
I will say that I beat Sunshine and 64. And Sunshine just did me in. Like, I was like, I don't have the energy to go to Galaxy now. I've since played some of Galaxy, but the one thing I will say is I did not realize, and I know they updated the controls, but I didn't realize just how much I would miss the Wii remote playing that game. Like, I play it with the Joy-Con, like, not in a grip or anything, even though, I play 99% of my games with a Pro Controller. But for that game, I still, I'll wiggle the right Joy-Con, and I'll use the kind of half-assed pointer functionality for it. But it pales in comparison to the accuracy and just how great the Wiimote felt for that game. So, I don't know. I wish there was a way around that, but I never
Galaxy
thought I'd
is still incredible, though.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, visually especially. It looks
visually
amazing.
Looks so beautiful. But I hear you. Surprisingly, I missed the Wii remote for that game too, Steve. I don't dislike playing it with the Pro Controller, but there's something missing there. And as you said, that's not something I ever thought I'd say about the Wii remote.
Yeah, it was a very comfortable game. You could just sort of relax and have one hand pointed towards it, and it just all kind of worked. But it is what it is. It is the biggest shame of all of it, despite other than the lack of a true remake of Super Mario 64, is really Galaxy 2 should have been part of this collection. It really should have.
Exactly. It really should have. Yeah.
Oh, well.
It's really odd that I can only imagine that it's just because they felt like 3 games was already enough value for what you're paying for. But This is a Mario 3D All-Stars. Galaxy 2 deserves to be part of that. It's
absolutely
the weirdest thing. Yeah.
It's a huge part of Mario's legacy, and it's a great game. Why exclude it? You're already giving us low-effort ports. Just give me one more low-effort port.
I know, exactly. You might as well just complete it for all of our low effort ports, whatever.
So I don't regret getting 3D All Stars. I'm glad I have it, but I just and I still I'm gonna finish Galaxy on it. But they could have done so much more with it.
Yeah. Well, moving on to a game that those who have played it loved it. It's just convincing other people to play it, which is always kind of the issue for Vanillaware games. 13 Sentinels Aegis Rim on the 22nd, which I did get a review code for, but again, it was in the middle of September. I was going through the looming threat of homelessness, so I was not focusing on this game whatsoever. Thankfully, not homeless, but I did play a little bit of Aegis Rim, and it is freaking gorgeous. I have no idea how the actual combat is, because you got these gorgeous 2D visuals that you come to expect from Vanillaware. If you've played Odin Sphere, if you've played any of their other ones, Muramasa, it looks gorgeous. But the combat is sort of arrow based on a grid, and it's like, with the little bit I played of it, it's like I didn't quite grasp it, but I needed to have more time, because ostensibly you're fighting with mechs against these other machines and whatnot, and it's intriguing enough of a plot that I'm like, I want to get to it. And apparently it's an amazing story, but I need to just jump into it at some point, because I love Vanillaware, even though I never beat Dragon's Crown, excuse me. But I got to check this game out at some point, because it's just getting so much good word of mouth.
I really want to play this game. I've heard pretty much nothing but glowing impressions across the board from those who have played it. And I love Vanillaware's whole aesthetic, their whole style. So this is something that's on my radar. It's just, yet again, too many things to play, not enough time. But I really want to check this out, because it seems like something I'd really enjoy.
I will have to try it sometime. I love their art. That's what I could say about this. I love their art style for everything they make, but I've not even, this hasn't popped up on my radar yet, and I don't know that it's really my kind of game anyway, but again, people that like this kind of stuff, I'm really glad for them. I just don't know that I'll ever crack 13 Sentinels. I might watch someone else do it.
Well, the funny thing to me is I was when I was seeing all the preview materials for it, it just clips here and there. I'm like, man, this is actually pretty conservative for a Vanillaware game, because usually there is a decent amount of fan service in their games. You just have to. You'll always find it in one of their games in one form or another. I'm like, they're all wearing pretty normal clothes. Cool. I guess they're learning something or doing something, trying something a little different. Play the game. Anytime a character is in a mech, they are buck naked. Wow. So, well, that's a thing. Vanillaware, I knew you couldn't resist.
I really do want to play this game.
I
who
do
knows
too.
If I will, but yeah.
Anyway, the next day, we got September 23rd, day after, we got Kirby Fighters 2, a surprise release, kind of, even though it kind of got leaked by Nintendo themselves. But hey,
like random before,
Kirby
right?
game. Yeah, like a day before. Random Kirby game out of nowhere. It's fine. It's fun. It's about what you expect from these sort of offshoots that kind of expand upon what they did on the 3DS. It's unexpected, but I don't know. These games don't exactly grab me. They're cute. They do their job well, but it's like,
I mean, same. I mean, sign me up for. I will be there moment zero for the next mainline Kirby game or the next offshoot Kirby game that's like a single player experience. But these kind of like bite-sized, almost mobile experience-esque multiplayer Kirby games, not for me. I just, I love Kirby to death, but I'd rather play all those copy abilities in a proper Kirby adventure, right? Like a Kirby game.
Yeah.
I don't need to play a pared down Smash Brothers with all Kirby power-up abilities.
At least we got that new wrestler ability, which is amazing.
True. Yeah. And I mean, and Kirby is always fun just to, watch other people play because it's Kirby and it's still, a Kirby fighter. And I like the idea of that, but it's just not something I felt the need to go out of my way to play. I just want the next big Kirby game.
Yep. Well, let's just go ahead and move on because I know Steve doesn't have anything in that.
No, I don't care about this game at all.
Yeah.
And let's finish up September with a game that I did not expect to just be as big as it was, Genshin Impact.
Oof.
Right. This has become quite the massive release. One of my best friends lovingly calls it shitty Breath of the Wild, even though he plays it. He admits it. He's like, I play it. I'm super into the experience. Genshin Impact's a lot of fun for me. But it's not as it's not Breath of the Wild, and
it doesn't really seem like it plays like Breath of the Wild, other than like the vistas and a bit of the.
I think the problem is that it had that visual identity, and I think that's the obvious inspiration. Yep. So I think once that first impression hits, it's very difficult to then go back and say, well, but it actually isn't that much like it when you have such a strong first association like that.
Chris 2K calls it Breath of the Waifu, which I love, but
I love it.
I'm going to point out, I downloaded this based mostly on the visual similarities to Breath of the Wild because that's one of my favorite games of all time now. And it's not just there's definitely that initial letdown factor of this is not what I thought it was based on what it looks like. But there is, the combat in this game, and I'll probably make someone mad in the chat, the combat in this game straight sucks. It is so bad. It feels like you're playing a shit MMO from the late 90s where you hit something and it doesn't register until a split second afterwards. I don't know, man. If that's your thing, if you can put up with that MMO style, weightless combat lag kind of bullshit, then maybe this is for you. But this thing set the land speed record for me losing interest. I downloaded it, I installed it. It took less time for me to lose interest in it than it took for me to download it. It just everything about it felt just kind of janky, weird, and wrong. Like mechanically, I think this game just mechanically fails in almost every way. I didn't enjoy movement. I didn't enjoy traversal. I didn't enjoy combat. And then just dialogue was a chore. Like it had the typical issue that I find to be prevalent in a lot of low tier RPGs where they just think that the more expositional dialogue you have, the better. Like that somehow makes the story deeper. Because this game loves to talk. And I'm like, you have to get me invested before you throw me into 30 minutes of cutscenes, or else I'm just going to open the home menu and tell you to go away. So
I mean, I think that was kind of Xenosaga's problem as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, yeah. Go ahead.
The other aspect is this is a gacha game. It's free to play, but it's also a gacha game, and your mileage may vary.
Yeah, I want to be fair. It is free, so I mean, like, it's not like it hurts you to try it, which is exactly how I got into it. I was like, oh, well, it's free. Who cares? And I just ended up being one of the few, or one of the many, I don't know, that just did not vibe with the game at all. So maybe you'll like it, and that's totally fine. You'll never convince me to pick it back up.
Yeah. I do want to show my appreciation for a pretty risky comment Rob Arman X made in the chat. If this game has bad combat compared to Breath of the Wild, yikes, it must be really bad. I agree with you. Sorry, I never really enjoyed I love Breath of the Wild. Never really enjoyed the combat all that much.
Oh my!
So.
What?
Oh my!
Yeah. Well,
the combat
I
is like one of my.
Sorry. I enjoyed the environmental, the organic, how you could use the environment to your advantage. That was incredible. The actual sword play, though, nah. That was okay.
Man, I really enjoyed it. I don't know. But again, different strokes for different folks. That's fine.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep. Oh, well. Let's go ahead and, hey, we've reached October.
Woo!
And we began October with Super Mario Bros. 35, a game I have still not played. Whoops.
On the contrary, this is a game that I have played way too much of. I still am not tired of this game. I don't know how you guys. I just hit level 205 the other day.
Wow. God.
I've won like 135 games or something. I don't even know how many games I've played, but I've won the majority of them, I think. And I love this game, even though hasn't really changed. Nintendo hasn't really updated it all that much. It's very much the same loop over and over again. Most people are picking World 1-1 and 1-2, so you mostly end up playing those. I don't know, though. There's just something about this game I can't get enough of. And, it might help that I'm really competitive at it. But, Steve, I know you said you are as well.
Yeah.
And you kind of lost interest pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just... I think a big part of it is that there isn't a mechanic in the game to force variety in the levels you're playing. So the loop does end up being like 1-1, 1-2, maybe a different stage, back to 1-1, then definitely 1-2. Like, I feel like I'm just playing 1-1 and 1-2 over and over and over again.
Totally fair criticism.
Yeah, and it's I wish Nintendo would force something like X number of players can select this same stage before you're forced into a different one, or something like that. Just if they could up the level variety.
They need an Invictus mode so you can up the difficulty.
Yeah, something, anything. But, I mean, it's not a bad game by any right. It is mechanically incredibly fun to play. I think it just, to me, all the matches started to feel the same. And once that set in, it was real hard to shake.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah. That's a totally fair criticism.
Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, I missed out on a chance to pick it up, and I just haven't had the time nor interest to just go back and play it. I don't know. Because... I grew up with the Super Mario Brothers. I know what to expect, and it has this crazy stuff. But I don't know.
To be fair,
I just didn't get into it.
Its moment has largely passed.
Yeah,
except for March 31st at like 8 p.m.
when
it'll spike.
Yeah,
when everybody's going to be playing it. It's like, this is our last hurrah.
Yep.
Yeah. They are doing. I know Nintendo's doing some sort of like global player challenge thing where I think if it's like an event where. If nationally or internationally players defeat 3.5 million Bowsers, you get like 300 platinum points in your Nintendo account. Okay, sure, whatever. I do wish there was, I do wish there was more variety, that they had updated this game more. But I guess And I mean, and I say that despite still loving it and still really enjoying to play it. But I guess if they're delisting it, I don't know why they're delisting it. Nintendo, don't take this game away from me. But if they had no plans on supporting this game beyond 6 months anyway, I guess that's why.
Yeah.
It's a shame. I hope to see it come back in a more robust, fully featured form. I think Nintendo's really hit on something, the prototype, the genesis of a really good idea here. It just needs to be fleshed out into a full release, and I'd be happy to pay for it. Jesse M., I just want to say I absolutely so love and respect your devotion to your fandom. Jesse says, I just haven't played Super Mario Brothers enough to enjoy Super Mario 35. Now, if it was a Donkey Kong Country Battle Royale, you are so dedicated to Donkey Kong Country and the Kiddy Kong cause, and I just have so much respect for that.
The Kiddy Kong cause sounds like a horrible, horrible foundation of some kind.
It does, doesn't it? It really does. Yeah.
Well, moving on. October 2nd saw the release of Crash Bandicoot 4, It's About Time. And I got it, but I only played like the first 5 or so levels. Fun fact, I actually was planning to use this game as like one of the initial reviews when GVG launched. But when I saw it was getting a bit further out than I thought we'd be starting, I decided to try to get something a little bit more recent. Although now with you guys, it's like, hey, we're cool with late reviews. It's like, damn it, I took the opportunity to play Crash 4 because what I played is really good, but I also have not gotten far at all. Like I am maybe 5 levels in, and I've heard the horror stories of trying to go for 101% or 103% or whatever the top is. So
yeah, it's pretty
eventually
good.
I'll get back and play it.
I've played a bit of it. I streamed like the first level on Game Explain, and I thought it was really fun. I've played more since then, but again, I'm maybe halfway through. I want to finish it up though. It's the first Crash game that I've really enjoyed enough to want to just finish it. I probably won't 101% it or whatever, just because again, it's already probably a stiff challenge, but also it's just I'm not really a completionist.
Yeah, I mean, Crash 4, I mean, it's well documented at this point. I'm not the biggest Crash fan. I definitely appreciate the impact and the legacy he has, and I'm glad Crash 4 seems to have mostly turned out to be what people wanted from it. I know when it was first revealed, I tweeted something out like, hey, really happy for Crash fans. This is your Mega Man 9 moment. Enjoy it. And it seems like people, by and large, have enjoyed it, despite some difficulty concerns, I guess. So happy for Crash fans that it seems to have delivered by and large, and I'm hoping we get Spyro next because that is a character I do like, and I'd love to see a
really
Spyro
cool.
come back. So yeah.
Yep. Well, on the same day we also got Star Wars Squadrons, which I did not play at all.
Nope.
Kind of this one passed me by. I've heard good things, but I don't know anything about it.
I've heard it's amazing.
Yeah, I've heard
in
good
VR,
things.
But
yes,
I don't
that makes
know
sense to be amazing in VR.
Yeah, I have a buddy who's like a diehard Star Wars fan, and he was telling me that it was incredible. The experience in VR was just amazing, and I believe him. But I'm not, I don't have VR, obviously, as I mentioned before, and I'm very much a casual Star Wars fan, so, I'm glad it seems to have been great, but, yeah, I don't personally have any care for the game.
Our good friend Kat Bailey actually has said nothing but good things about this game. So
nice.
We should have her on again soon. I hear she's doing big things. But, yeah, Star Wars Squadron, go check it out if you haven't. I want to check it out based on what Kat has told me about the game. But
I still need to play Fallen Order.
that one's okay. I don't love it.
Yeah. Well, just a real quick shout out to, I haven't played it myself, but I saw Amy looking at this game quite a bit, and she sort of fell down a rabbit hole of deciding whether or not she wanted to pick it up. Ikenfell, released October 8th, and sort of like this interesting tactical RPG based around a magical school, where apparently it's really good with representation. Seems like a cute indie. Didn't hear it get talked about too much, but it's one of those things like, you know what, I dig the style, I dig where they're going with it. It has a fun vibe to it, but I don't think any of us played it. I just wanted to give it a little quick shout out because the next big game honestly didn't come out until... Oh,
sorry, Derek, 1 second, because I figured you're gonna say Mario Kart Live, right?
yes.
Okay, just really quick. On October 13th, Steve and Alex were released, along with all the Minecraft content for Smash Bros. Ultimate. So just figured out.
I wasn't sure when that happened, so...
Yeah, I looked it up while we were talking just to make sure we didn't miss it. But this set the internet on fire and made a lot of people really happy, made a lot of people really, really unhappy. And I just sat back and watched the chaos unfold because I'm happy for any fan of a character that gets into Smash, even if it gets a character I don't personally like. I don't care about Steve. I love you, Steve. Steve Bowling, I love you.
Yeah, but that's going on GVG out of context,
Steve.
Right?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely it is. I don't care about the Minecraft Steve at all, but this made so many people happy. And I also know, like, through my wife, like, she has friends with kids, and they were really excited to see, Minecraft's protagonist, such as it is, in Smash. So I thought this was really cool. And just the incredible amount of work Sakurai had to do. They basically, he and his team had to, if you remember from the presentation on Steve, he and his team had to I don't know if it was reconstruct, but essentially modify every single stage in the game to work with Steve's mechanics. And that is just wild to me.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, it's an impressive amount of work. I always had the idea of Steve and Smash being like, no, don't do it. But then he gets in and I'm like, you know what? You made it work. I'm not a huge fan, but good for you.
Yeah, so
that's all I got.
Yeah.
I had to pull this up. People correctly noted that they heard a Game Explain video in the background for a sec because I had to pull up the page to get the exact date. But this was between this and the release of Mario Kart Live. I did what was probably my favorite Game Explain video, which was the 2-minute update on Steve's meat, which was like a 2-minute long dick joke, basically, which also afforded me the opportunity to not only input 2 Resident Evil characters into a Game Explain video, but also a fart. So, probably no joke, probably the most fun I had making a GX video, just because, yeah. It was I got to talk shit about Hestu's gift and make a lot of dick jokes on a PG channels video.
It was a good day for Steve.
It was.
Yes.
It was. Also the Steve Sweet thing I still how? I refuse to believe Nintendo is that wholesome that they didn't see it. They're like, Twitter's going to do something with this. But hey, whatever. You do you, Nintendo.
Exactly. All right. Well, moving on from
I guess
Steve,
it's also worth mentioning that the Minecraft world... Oh.
Okay.
Sorry. Okay. I think I have some delay on my end. You're good. I was just going to say the Minecraft world stage is also a really fun stage to play on. I think the stuff that came out alongside Steve and Alex, like the Minecraft stage, the music, really good. It's a good, solid addition of content. So
yeah.
Yep. Can't disagree with that. But how do we think about the content that came out on October 16th, Mario Kart Live Home Circuit? And Steve actually reviewed this one.
Yeah.
And I've had the chance to play it since. And it's cool. There's a lot of neat ideas in there. But it's also one of those things where I was exactly right in what I thought about it when I saw it. It was like, this is neat. I'm cool. I don't need to play it a ton.
Yeah, it is one of Nintendo's cooler novelty products. Like, it is not a game that you play. Like, I think people, it's cool in the sense like, oh yeah, I'm playing something that is familiar and feels like Mario Kart in a way. But the ask of creating courses and stuff like that and setting all that up in a real, like, if you don't live by yourself, this is not viable. Like, if you have kids, this is not viable. If you have a dog, this is not viable. Like, you were talking about, this is a game made for otaku and neets only. Like, you have to live by yourself, not have a partner, and not have any pets. And then you can set up your course and just leave it. But I otherwise, you're setting up all these cardboard things all the time, and you do it once or twice, and you're like, that was really cool. And I know you're going to have your small collection, and I mean your infinitesimally small collection of people who get deep into this and like buy stuff to make elaborate courses, but those are by and large not your average consumer. Instead, this will be the world's most expensive RC car for a kid that is ridiculously spoiled. And that's honestly, like, my kids love it, but it hasn't come off the shelf since about a week after the review was over. And it's just because it's a really cool piece of tech, but I'm not setting this all up. Like, I'm just not, it's so much effort for so little response. Like, if I need to play Mario Kart, I'm popping in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I'm not setting up Mario Kart Live. Yeah. So
yeah, I mean, this seems like a really cool novelty that I'd like to play around with, but not for $100. And I don't live alone. And yeah, I can't. This seems like it would be very much like a Nintendo Labo type thing where it's really cool for a short time and then you just kind of put it up and forget about it.
Yeah. Sorry. To respond to Fizzywig, I'm not implying that content creators that cover this and enjoy it are small-time content creators. I'm talking about an infinitesimally small portion of Nintendo's fan base will really dig this and get into it. It's not going to be like your next big thing from Nintendo. That said, it's not like your enjoyment of it becomes invalid because it's not enjoyed by millions and millions of people. I'm just saying that the niche audience for this is way smaller than the overall Mario Kart audience.
Yeah. Well, let's move on. And next game that I actually did cover, the first review for GVG, The Red Lantern, which is the dog sledding game that we saw for a while, indie game. And you know what? It's a neat little game. It's honestly, it's a roguelike. Roguelite, where you're just trying to make it from one end of this snowfield to the other with your dog sled, making choices as you go along, and those choices could lead you to, this moose showed up. Do you want to try to kill it? You messed up your shot. Crap, it's charging at you. That's not good. Or, let's follow this owl and see where he ends up. It could take me to some new food or a cool thing here, or it could take me to nothing and you wasted my energy. Thanks, Al. It's one of those things where it's kind of a choose your own adventure type of game where you just see what kind of happens. And as Jared Edinger said, it is narrated by Ashley Birch, who does a fantastic job of that. Though there is some repeat dialogue, especially at one point where you're always going to get the same dialogue over and over again. And it's one of those that once I beat it, I could replay to try to fill out my entire diary, but I had no inclination to. There's stuff in there to try to change it up, and the dogs are adorable. It's fun, but I don't know if it's something it isn't something I will go back to anytime soon. It's just a fun little experience.
It's fair.
Yeah, it's something I would like to play once. I loved your review of it, Derek, and I'm a huge dog person, so I have that latent interest there. Nice. But it definitely seemed like the kind of thing that maybe doesn't hold up over multiple playthroughs nearly as well, which is essentially what you said.
Yeah, and replay value isn't everything though.
No. That's true as well.
Yeah, like Chrono Trigger. I mean, if it didn't have multiple endings, I don't know that I would replay it as much as I do. But there's something to be said for a narrative that is good one time, and that you can put it down and walk away after that. But
right.
I'd still like to check it out, and it holds a special place in my heart for being the first ever GVG review. So
yeah.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
Plus, you got to appreciate them having a mode where the dogs can't die. Not that I actually had a dog die in my playthroughs.
Good. Well, then we can remain friends. That's good. Really quick, before we move on, I just do want to... I didn't play this game, but I do want to give a quick shout-out to Cobra Kai. The Karate Kid Saga continues. Because I have heard this game is about the average beat-em-up that I thought it would be. I didn't ever expect it to be an amazing game. But I still want to try it out at some point when it gets really cheap, because I'm like the biggest Cobra Kai fan, and I can't get enough of that show. So I just wanted to point out that a Cobra Kai beat-em-up did indeed come out this year, and on October 27th. But that's all I have to say about that.
Yep. I have no opinions whatsoever. So let's move on to October 28th, which is Port Day, because we got No More Heroes, No More Heroes 2, and Part-Time UFO. Two games that Steve absolutely loves, and a very cute little game from HAL that was restricted just to mobile, and I think is a better fit on the Switch.
Man, No More Heroes. We needed these games on the Switch so bad. I was so hyped for these that I bought them like immediately. And then I got review codes for them like hours later. Like they sent me, and I should have known because I have a great relationship with the folks involved with No More Heroes, and I could have expected, but I was like, I can't wait. Also, I just want to give them my money for porting them. So I bought these. I was thrilled to get them. And they hold up incredibly well on the Switch. I haven't played through both of them in their entirety, but I've played enough to know that they're still every bit as excellent as they were on the Wii. So if you don't own them, go get them. They're some of the best action games. They're all over the top weird and just utterly wonderful, and they'll prepare you well for No More Heroes 3.
Mm-hmm. I have still yet to play No More Heroes 2. I played and beaten No More Heroes 1. I have No More Heroes 2, but I've just not sat down and beat it for some reason.
So good.
I have played about halfway through No More Heroes 1, and I just never got around to finishing it for whatever reason. I have interest in it. I want to, and I certainly want to play 2 as well. I just haven't gotten around to actually finishing them. But they're on my radar for sure. I love the just utterly bizarre, wacky, over-the-top vibe kind of, that Travis Touchdown has, and just the No More Heroes universe has. But it's also kind of tempered with this just total gamer nerd vibe that Travis. He's such a big nerd.
Oh yeah, I love when you go to his apartment.
He's essentially just an otaku.
Yep, I was gonna say I love when you go to his apartment. You see all his like otaku shit that he has laying around.
Yeah,
like he'll be looking, like he wears.
I remember at the time
girl shirts.
Yeah, well, I remember him looking at the Magical Girl poster he has in his room, and him going Moe. And I'm like, what the hell did he just say? Like I don't know. I had no idea what he was talking about at that time, and nowadays, like, oh, okay, I get it. It's like it's a takeover.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Moe. Yeah, I really and the No More Heroes 3 trailer, the most recent one, it looks great. So I would like to be able to play these two games prior to.
I do. Once I get a release date for 3, I will have to sit down and maybe even play Travis Strikes Again, even though I don't think it's necessary. But
it isn't, but it's an okay game, but. Yeah, I would still recommend it because it's supposed to be like a stopgap between 2 and 3 from a lore perspective.
Part-time UFO, I've not tried. I was actually looking for it. I was going to try to play it with my grandmother for the Grandma Plays this year, but COVID and just timing and just didn't work out as well as I hoped. But
I bought it too. I've had plans to play it with my wife ever since I bought it, which was, again, right behind my purchases of No More Heroes 1 and 2, but we just haven't found the time. So eventually when I can sit down with my wife and I can like play, we feel like chilling out and playing a game together instead of catching up on millions of hours of TV we haven't watched, then this is top of the list.
Yes, certainly hear that.
Mm-hmm. Next up is Watch Dogs Legion on October 29th, which I have not touched, but I know Steve, thanks to the our last episode of TNT, I know you played.
Yeah, so this was such a weird situation. I got the review copy, and I already knew at this point that I would be receiving an Xbox Series X for review. I mean, like right on the heels of my code for this game. And so I was like, do I wait? And do I just play it? Because obviously to review a console, you have to play games on it. And at that time, I had no idea if I was getting games to play on the Xbox. So I was like, well, I mean, reviewing a game, I could do 2 jobs at once. And I played about halfway through on my Xbox One until the time at which I mentioned in our previous episode where the game almost fried my Xbox, and I was like, whoa, like I'm not okay with this. I don't want to keep doing it if I'm gonna have to buy a new Xbox. And so I had emailed Ubisoft, and they were like, oh, it should run fine on a Series X if you have it. And I was like, well, what do you know? And so I finished it there. The game is absurd. It is like it's a great idea executed in a really bumbling weird way. Like, let's be real. You're not going to be able to recruit. Like, the idea of inviting people to join a hacker collective doesn't just universally work on everyone. And in the world of Watch Dogs Legion, it absolutely does. You could go into a nursing home, find whoever, and be like, yo, you want to learn how to hack the planet? And they're like, yeah, absolutely. I have no reservations about this at all. And it's just like, it's so fucking weird. But then, you know, like, you can even recruit the bad guys, which doesn't make sense. Like, the guys hired to kill you, you can recruit
You're just
them.
that charismatic.
Yeah, I guess you just got a silver tongue or something.
See, I always took it as not an invitation like, hey, you want to have to hack the planet, and some more like taking over their brain and like, you're going to do this for me now.
See, that would at least make more sense, but it's like they have cutscenes where you're pitching them on it. You're like, hey, you should join us. And they're just like, okay. I will. And I'm like, you know, I would probably give it at least a second thought, go home, talk to the wife. Hey, I'm thinking I should quit my job and maybe hack the planet. What do you think? But no, these people everyone in London is just like, yeah, absolutely, I'm in. It's okay. It's a fun, like, if you can get that part of it out of your mind, it's actually pretty fun. And like I said, there is one quest in this game that I feel like you should absolutely have to play, and it's just so messed up. Like it feels like somebody just wrote like a really dark Watch Dogs fanfic, and someone at Ubisoft was like, yeah, we'll do it. We'll see if people actually played the game, because they'll have nightmares about this later.
Oh god.
But yeah, it's an okay game.
That sounds interesting.
It is. Like, that one quest is worth playing. I wish there was just a cheat code to play that quest, but because I feel like you don't need the rest of the game to understand how fucked up and dark that this part is. But
right.
If for whatever reason you're bored and you got like 20 hours to kill, play Watch Dogs till you get to that part. That's where it peaks. It doesn't get better than that. So after that, you know, you can just bail out. You're fine.
Okay.
Yeah, I have very little interest in Watch Dogs or just the franchise in general, but I know it certainly has a very particular appeal, and maybe I'll check out a video of that specific quest you're talking about, Steve.
Yes, it's definitely worth it.
Yeah, cool.
Well, our last game of October to talk about is Pikmin 3 Deluxe.
I just bought this.
I have not picked it up yet. I have it on Wii U. I got the Wii U version, but I never played it, and I do want to pick it up on Switch eventually, but I just know I'm not going to get the chance to play it right away, so it's like, I'll wait for a bit. Pikmin 3 is not going to go anywhere, and we'll just get it later, but it does look gorgeous. It looks very pretty.
So
yeah,
my wife, like, when I met her house was basically like a greenhouse inside. Like, she had so many plants, and she still does. Like, she loves plants. And I remember immediately thinking, like, man, I should really have her try Pikmin. And when the demo got announced, I downloaded it for her right away. And I was like, you should try this. And she's, you know, Animal Crossing and a few, like, oddly enough, like Madden and the old Watch Dogs. Like, that's the extent of her gaming experience. And she picked it up and she fell in love with it, like, immediately. Just the idea of being, like, in a world surrounded by plants, right? And Pikmin being little plant people. So I actually, like, I bought it for her just recently because I was at GameStop for whatever reason. Oh, I was buying this shirt, my Tom Nook shirt. And,
there you go.
And a comically large Snorlax mug. Don't ask me why I do these things, because I don't know the answer. But I was like, you know what, I'm going to snag a copy of Pikmin 3 Deluxe, and I got it for her, and she's played a bit of it, and she's just absolutely enraptured by it. And I mean, I understand it. I've played Pikmin 3 on the Wii U, and Deluxe is just, you know, has some quality of life changes, but it's still gorgeous. I mean, it still looks incredible. Like, I remember when I played it on the Wii U being like, wow, the food in this game looks really, really good, and it holds up today still as, like, a really great example of how to render fruit and stuff like that. So, and I love the stupid names they give food, like an alien trying to figure out what these things are, you know? I can't think of any specific examples off the top of my head, but that whole thing is charming. And also the way they say Brittany. I don't know why. I really like the way they say Brittany. But, yeah, great game. I think it's great that it's being made available to people outside of the Wii U, because I think it could have... I think it will find much better success on the Switch. It's a fantastic game. If you have a Switch, you should at least try the demo. That's all I got to say about that.
I have heard that the prologue and epilogue is a little unfortunate. Just kind of just extra missions with no real story involved to them that people are hoping. So That's a little sad, but extra missions, I suppose.
Yeah. Well, with that, it is about time for me to disappear.
So I figured. So we are going to have to do a part 4 for November.
Part 4. Because I just looked at, well, here's the thing. I looked at November. It's like, all right, console releases. And there's a ton of games listed there.
Yep.
So
So
we're going to have to do a
we
part 4.
got through a lot today, though.
In true 2020 fashion, this series is going to go longer than you expected it to. With that, go ahead, please.
But I know we owe you guys a pre-show. So, Steve, even if you got to disappear, Derek, do you want to hang out for a little bit and chat?
Yeah.
Well, worry about that later, as we still have to do a conclusion, Ash.
Or not a pre-show, a post-show. Sorry.
Let's end the episode off first.
Yeah. So.
Of course. Yeah. No. No. Fair enough. Of course.
Yeah. That about wraps it up for apparently what is part 3 of now a 4-part series of Last Year Tonight. Join us at some unspecified date for the 4th and presumably final episode, but who knows? Maybe we'll go into extra innings, something will happen. Maybe someone will cite an insurrection at GVG and we'll just have to pause things for a while. I don't know. But what I do know is that this episode is over, and it could not be made possible without all of you amazing patrons. We appreciate you all so much. Remember, there are just 10 days left to get the founder status at patreon.com/gvgaming if you're watching the YouTube video on demand version. If you're in the live audience, of course, you're already a founder. But we have to give an extra special thank you to our patrons at the producer tier. And beyond that, we have a list of executive producers that I am going to call out because I love you all so much, and we appreciate each and every one of your contributions that make shows like Last Year Tonight, which is definitely not just TNT with a different logo, possible. And those fine folks include Rob, Arman X, Dan and Twistle, Z Patty, Adam O'Sullivan, Floating Mew, Christopher, The D-Pad, Vesmio, Waffle King, Kieran Phillips, Benny Yao, my mom, hi mom, Geller, Shiny Turkey, Titus Malvolio, Jake Pelka, Michael Phone, our sponsor for this episode, Mitchell Herring, Game Explain, Charles Zaz, Andrew Medeiros, Jonathan Belmare, Kitty Kong Facts, Patrick Harrison, Scott Barber, Evernight Studio, Rocks the Cat, Loyal Dingo, The Pun Master Azran127, Phantom 23, Sean Garrett, Shadow the Cat, Guillaume Monet, Kai Ed, Kit Fisto, Orem M, Top Dog 23100, West Egg, Master Lynx, Sean Davis, Deaneth, Coda, Lucky Wonderfish, Brandon Bovia, Super was great this week. Thanks, Brandon. Octo Puppet, Charlie Bird, Matthew Wong, Ashish Joshi, Michael McCaw, Eric Flapjack Ashley, Jackson Jordan, Sky Blue Flames, Young Ben Kenobi, Hyrule Hermit, Goron Amber, Straight Lace, Hugo J8A, Seth Walker, Dway, Macalau, Kenrule09, Hooby, Marcos Conchas, Wolf X Blake, and Moon Macarons, Demon Kid Zaraki, Spencer Katie, Leanne Mustafa, and Brooke. Like I said, remember, you can become a patron over at patreon.com/gvgaming, where you can watch Last Year Tonight or Today's News Tonight or whatever show this is live for as little as $5 a month. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to Good Vibes Gaming for more good times like these. Until next time, good night and good vibes. Bye, everyone.
Later.
Good night, everybody.